Hey folks, it's Mark with Apple Creek Outdoors, and on today's agenda we're going to be putting up mainline, maple mainline in the new sugar bush that we've acquired. So this video is probably going to be both just kind of informative and hopefully a little bit instructional as well. If you are planning to or would like to give mapling a try, this might be helpful for you. Now, if you're putting in mainline, usually you're looking at least 50 taps, but whether you're looking at 50 taps or 5,000 taps and you've never done it before, hopefully you find today's video a little bit instructional on the how-tos and basics of putting in a mainline. So here we're heading out to our new sugar bush that we're going to run mainline in today. You can see over on this side one of our collection totes in our woods, and then most of the trees that you see in those woods straight in front of us are mostly maple. So this should be a pretty easy work. We're looking forward to getting into it and seeing what kind of sap yield we can get from this sugar bush this year.
We have our new sugar bush. We're going to set up the laser. We're going to try to have mainline coming in from two directions and have the tote sit in somewhere right in there. Hopefully everything goes smooth. Dad's getting the transit out, and I'm going to have to lift Katie off. She's getting a little bit old, so she gets rides. And that was the last place available, so she got to sit on his lap. But yeah, we'll be setting up the transit and trying to get this all done today.
So what we're going to need to put up the main line is, of course, the main line. I like to use either 3/4 or 1-inch main line. The shallower the slope, it's better to have a larger diameter main line, so you don't end up with, so you can maintain better sap flow down this. And we are setting up, I just wanted to preface everything, we're setting up a gravity flow main line, and that is different from a vacuum flow main line. So what you're seeing today is for gravity flow. And with that gravity flow, you want that 1-inch main line or 3/4 inch main line, depending on the steepness of the slope and how far that's going. Now we're looking at a really shallow slope today, probably about a 1 degree slope is what we're working with here. So the other thing that you're going to need though is the high tensile wire. I think this is 12 gauge high tensile wire, but the high tensile wire is it's the wire that will not bend very easily, so this can handle a lot of pulling without breaking, and you'll need that. I also have some scraps of garden hose, and it's a thicker garden hose, and you can also use scraps of mainline, and you'll see the purpose for those later. The other things that you're going to need, now we're going to use a laser transit today, but you don't have to have that. I have simply just used a regular old carpenter's level. Oh, there's a bald eagle.
Oh,
cool.
Yeah. Wonder. There you can kind of see it.
All right, back to this. So we're going to use a laser transit today, but you don't need that. You can use just a regular old level. I just have a 2-foot level here, and I'll show you later how to use this. So you do not need this, the transit. The other things that we're going to need are some wire ties. I like to use 6-inch wire ties. Those work good for both 1-inch and 3/4 inch main line. You'll need the wire tie tool, a handful of these little sections of main line, some mainline plugs, these wire gripples, and then I'm just using thumbtacks to mark the height as we laser this out. You also need some stainless steel clamps, hose clamps, that'll fit the 3/4 or the 1-inch tubing. You'll need some ratcheting fence tighteners like this, and a hammer, some nails, and I think that's about it. So anyway, let's get going with putting up this main line.
We're trying to get this perfectly level. I think he's getting it pretty close.
Because we're talking about distances of a couple 100 yards, so the slightest off level will create a big difference, a large error.
We're having trouble finding the laser during the day right now because it's kind of sunny and it's not all that obvious on a tree 40 yards away. So what we're planning on doing is we're gonna put the main line and run the wire, the main line, and just run it loose. And then we're gonna come back after dark and use the laser, and hopefully that makes it a lot easier to see what we're doing. Here we have scouted out our first section of mainline that we're gonna run, and I'm running it through these trees. They're trying to unspool it back there. Our unspooler broke like 2 years ago when we ran the last little bit of mainline, so haven't had to fix it. So we're at a dilemma right now. It looks like it's tangling really bad for them. Dad just said he's about to have a tangle.
No, you can't keep pulling.
I messed up. I pulled when I wasn't supposed to. This isn't gonna be good.
All right, so on the upper end or the higher elevation end of a main line, the way I like to base that, on my anchor tree is simply to just use one of these wire gripples and a little piece of old garden hose or old main line to protect the tree. Now we'll start by, see if I can remember how to do this. We'll put the gripple on the wire. It will not back off of it unless you have a screwdriver in there. And then we'll run that wire through the section of hose. And around the tree and back into that gripple. And I like to leave about 9 inches or so from the tree to the location of that gripple. And a person can always adjust that if they need to. And the reason I like to use the gripples on this end of it, you'll see once we put up the main line, but it's because the clamps actually will fit really well right in here to anchor the main line as the tensioner pulls on the main line on the other end. So that's all there is to it on anchoring that wire to the top end. Now we'll go to the other end and put on the ratcheting tightener.
Okay.
So this is our anchor tree on the lower end where we're going to put the collection tote, and I want to have enough wire here to get to the ratcheting tightener. I can't think of the fancy word for those. What are those?
Wire tighteners?
Something like that. All right, so cut my wire off there and that disappeared. Then I need enough wire to go around the tree. Give myself a little extra. And this is then where we will put on one of these ratcheting wire tighteners. So I'll need to cut another section of...
And you'll want to make sure that when you get them, they have the release, or what would that be called?
Yes. This wire bail right here.
Yeah.
And that allows you to loosen it during the off season, because you don't want this tension to be on these trees throughout the whole year, because then as it grows, it'll start growing around that wire or around the hose even. All right, so that's good. All right, so I'm a little bit of a tightwad, and I could put one of those wire gripples on this end as well, but it's not as necessary here. So what I just like to do is I'll bend that wire over and twist it closed. Oh, I don't want to forget that.
We haven't ever forgot one of those, have we?
No, never had to cut the wire off the tree.
We have.
I hope that's enough. Is that enough? Will it get there? Pull, Jed. Pull, man, pull. Okay, that's perfect. All right.
It's close.
It's close enough. We'll make it happen. Now, make sure you wear leather gloves working with the high tensile wire, because it will pinch you, cut you. Well, yeah, any wire can, but this is bad about it. All right, so that's more than sturdy enough. I'm gonna move that around the tree right there. And I know that that tote comes to, what was it? Right about pocket high?
Yeah, right about bottom of the pocket.
And the tote's gonna be sitting down a little bit lower, so you want this to come in at a height, so when that tubing, when that main line goes over to the tote, it's going downhill the whole way. But once again, the nice thing about this whole system here, with these ratcheting tighteners, I can always loosen it up and raise and lower it on the tree as I need to. All right, so now
he walks away and leaves us standing here. He's looking for a crescent wrench to tighten it.
it's over there.
I
Oh,
guess.
you're holding the wire? All right. I guess I need my extra. Watch this back.
Oh, he didn't trip. That's.
That'd make good content.
Yeah, that would have made good content. Him face planting in a pile of mud.
Or corn stalk. One of our kids, I fell over and got corn stalk to the back. That would hurt.
Get it in here.
Got it. I didn't let it come out.
Okay, now we're back with a crescent wrench.
Okay, not too far. A little bit. Oh, right about there. All right. Take a quick walk down there, make sure there's no kinks in the wire. Good.
Run, man, run!
So here we just wanted to show you that you can actually level these lines without a laser transit. Here I'm just using a 2-foot level, and if we look close here, one of the sections of your level will have marks on it in 1/8 inch increments. 1/8, 1/4, 3/8, 1/2. And what that tells you is how much incline there is over that 2 feet of length. So as long as you have at least 1/8 of an inch of incline over that 2-foot length, you're good to go with running gravity mainline. Now I prefer a little bit more than that. And like right now we're looking at about, the edge of the bubble is on 3/8 of an inch of incline. And that'll work because you can see right over there, we're cresting a little bit of a finger ridge that's coming down into this bottom. And I don't want the main line to be too low on that and give the critters too many opportunities to just stand there and chew on it. So we have just the right amount here, so we'll move on to the next segment and see what our level looks like there. Now, if you don't have a main line unspooler, one of the things you can do is just try to unspool this on the ground, just roll it out, which can be a challenge, as we have found out in the past. Way to keep it clean there, Steve.
Why'd you let go? Maybe you didn't have an explanation. Was it last year that we made the unspooler?
How did we do this last year?
We made a little unspooler.
Did I make an unspooler?
Yeah, but it was very chunky. It fell apart.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
That was a lot easier.
Boy, did that work better than this.
Yeah. Back to the end.
We're about there.
That's right. There.
Now, Wyatt, go up through the woods and pull that over to there. Yeah, Looper, well, go up by the tree that we're going to use. Jed, you can go up there now and just help it around the corner.
Okay. We're pulling it through next to the high tensile wire now.
So when we're setting up the top end of these main lines, the way I like to do that with the actual main line, you want to put a plug in it that matches the size of your tubing here. I've got a 3/4 inch plug in this. And then we're going to put some stainless clamps on those. And I recommend putting 2 clamps.
You want that one to be forward.
What?
You want that one all the way first forward.
All right, you want this one to be as far forward towards that plug as you can get it.
You don't know the other one on.
Thank you, son. Make sure they're both on there. And one of them needs to be as close to the end as possible. You want to get those pretty tight. And then snug up that second one. And now you'll see how I like to use these wire gripples. We'll come in here and we'll hook that tubing, as you can see, just right on the top of that clamp screw. And that's how our main line will start on this end. So once that gets up in there, nice and tight. Well, it's not getting as tight as I'd like. There we go. We will start putting wire ties in it. Now that is just not hanging in there quite the way I would like it. But we'll hope it sticks. Now when you first start putting the wire ties on, now the first few at this end can be fairly tight, but as you work your way towards the collection tote, you want to put them on loose at first and just hang that main line in place, and then we'll tension that main line. So like right now, after we get these first couple in place, we'll go about 5 feet between ties, just holding that main line up in place.
Okay, we just got back out here after having lunch, and to run the next section of main line, which is a lot longer and goes way off that way, we decided to make a homemade
Spooler. Or unspooler. After struggling with that little short piece earlier today, I thought, you know what, I'm gonna go home and make one. So we threw this together in a few minutes. Hopefully it works.
2x4s and a fence post. We have a little clamp up there holding a washer, so hopefully helps it spin better. It needs to go lower. So we'll see how this works.
All right. Well, somebody with long, go nice and easy. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Did it run through itself?
Yeah, it ran through itself.
Do I need to come back?
Try to keep going. Hold on. Yeah, it got pulled through itself. So actually, if we just take that off.
No, that's if you're tying a knot.
Yeah. I'd say that happened on the last round. It was going so good. All right, take off, but not too fast.
That goes pretty fast.
Oh, come
I
on.
think we should have picked the sturdier fence post.
Yeah.
Oh, now it's working pretty good.
Yeah.
So we decided to do things the easy way. We waited until it got almost dark here late in the afternoon, and we can see that laser a lot better on the trees right now, and we have marked pretty much our whole line in about the same time it took us to find 1 point earlier in the day when it was sunny. So it's working pretty good. We finished up marking level on the trees that ran the length of the main line, and then we made sure we adjusted that high tensile wire to have about a foot of elevation change for about every 100 feet of main line. And then we went ahead and strung the main line, or hung the main line to it, and leveled it with some T-posts along the way. A couple other things I wanted to mention when you're running that main line. We like to try to avoid going around really sharp corners with it. You want to keep it as straight as you can, but you know, little bends where it hits trees here and there works out just fine. So anyway, we hope you found this video informative and helpful, and thank you for watching. Make sure to hit like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.